The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, looks like we're ready to get going. First off, welcome everyone to the 2020 Metro Chapter Annual Meeting. My name is Carr. I work for the City of Anaheim, overseeing Anaheim Hills and Dad Miller Golf Course, and I am your new president. And we'll get into how that became in just a minute. So we just have a couple quick housekeeping items to start the day off. Old business and new business is typically something we tackle towards the end of the meeting, but because of our current circumstance with a virtual meeting, we're going to ask you to use the questions area to ask any questions for today, and then I will get those towards the end of the meeting and address as many as I can. Next, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the summer virtual meeting minutes from June 15th.
Cam Vick, I'll make a motion to approve.
Can I get a second?
This is Joe, second.
Thank you very much. The minutes have been approved. Okay, so with my president's report, I thought I'd get into a little bit how a couple positions have shuffled around. We started the year with Eric Mitchell as our chapter president. Our spring meeting unfortunately got canceled. He ran our summer virtual meeting and then accepted a position at his home course in Savannah, Georgia. So him and Brianne picked up and moved. Wish them all the luck in the world out there. So there was a couple months where we were kind of in limbo, and I was approached by Vic about my interest in possibly taking over for Eric and finishing his term. So I put a lot of thought into it, and obviously took advantage of this unique opportunity to serve as president for the remainder of 2021. So I'm your guy going forward. So bear with me as I stumble through the rest of this meeting for my first time. The second shuffle was Thomas Chu. He accepted a position. He was our tournament chair. He accepted a position out of the chapter. Joe Groman graciously volunteered to step in as our tournament chair for the remainder of his term, which will be the end of 2021. So that's great. Super happy to snag Joe from the section and get him back involved in the chapter. So thanks so much to him for that. You know, other than that, I don't have a whole lot to report. I've only been in this position for a couple months now, and really just trying to get my feet underneath me. But it's been an absolute bizarre year, to say the least. And I know we've all had our own challenges and struggles. But I do think that, you know, looking at the glass half full, the silver lining of this year is this huge resurgence in golf. And I think it's imperative as an industry that we work together to capitalize on this incredible renaissance for golf. So keep that conversation going at your own clubs, help each other out, share any notes or thoughts that could help everyone else. So with that, that concludes my president's report for the first time here. Next up on the agenda, I'd like to welcome Hide Yoshinaga to give the vice president's report. So Hide, can you jump on?
Okay, I'm right here. Hi, everybody. My name is Hide Yoshinaga. I'm the director of golf at Valencia Country Club in Valencia. I hope everybody's doing well, and I'm going to give my vice president's report on the financials. What you see there is as of the end of September. It's a little hard to see, but basically we have a little over 36,000 in our general fund, about 4,000 more than the same time period last year. We haven't really had much going on this year to spend the money, so we are in very good shape there. We will go to the next page. Here's our financial update on the tournaments. We have $15,000 in balance. The liability of $7,950 is basically the payouts that are still remaining for the individual match play and the 4-ball match play, which is still going on, unfortunately. And so that will be paid out once the matches are final. Hopefully Joe can update on where all the matches stand. And so again, we are also in very good shape in terms of the tournament financial. So that concludes my report. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Hide. Appreciate that. Next up on the agenda is our secretary's report with Rick Stegal. You jump on, Rick.
Sure. Hope everyone can see me. Good morning, everybody. Sorry about being overdressed. Didn't know if I was going to be viewed or not. But real quick, so in our total roster, we have 503. Chapter members 425, chapter associates 78. Out of that, life members 57, life member century 6, retired members 7. We have reserve members, which are employed at the present time 7, and suspended 10 right now. So hope everybody's hanging in there, and things will get back to normal soon. That's pretty much the Secretary's report for now. That's it. Thank you, Cameron. Thank you, everybody.
Great, thank you, Rick. All right, pressing right along, we have a couple committee reports to get to. So I'd like to welcome Joe Groman to come on and talk to us about tournaments for this year and next year.
Well, good. Hi, guys. I'm Joe. As you know, the special awards in the Pro in March 30th was canceled. The summer meeting tournament was canceled. That's when we did the first virtual thing. And of course, today's annual meeting tournament canceled. Match play updates, all four, the 4-ball match play, all the matches are in the semifinals right now, which is great. The individual match plays in the finals with Gardner and Bergner going at it for that. I have contacted all the players this past week, give them a little kick, but what can you do with what's going on? So, I mean, we were hoping to have everything done by this meeting, but obviously the world is upside down right now. Chapter championship, South Hills hosted again. Special thanks to Brian Jones, Tim Suit, Garrett Stapp. That was just an absolutely flawless event. Yeah, finally a flawless event. Gunnar Wiebe won it at -7 at South Hills. Literally ran away with it. Michael Block was like second, 3 back. Gunnar's also the national assistant professional champion for the PGA of America. So we got a new superstar in our chapter, Gunnar Wiebe. Remember when Blocky came out and won the National Club Pro? Well, this kid is that good too. I just met him at this event for the first time, so I had never really heard of him until he won the national assistant. Anyway, excited to have Gunnar in our chapter, and congratulations to him. Our plans for 2021, we're hoping to host all 4 events: the Spring Special Awards Summer, the Chapter Championship, and the annual meeting. South Hills is once again offered to host the Chapter Championship. It's kind of been a stable over there, which is a great venue, and they always do a great job. So we got some feelers out for the other events. And just want to give a little shout out to Tom Addis for getting that award named after him. That is so cool. Tom, I speak for everyone in here, I'm sure, when I say well deserved. So proud. And now, ladies and gentlemen, concludes my report.
Thank you, Joe.
All right, thank you, Joe. Next up, we have special awards. I'd like to invite Rick to come back on and say a few words about that, please.
There we go. So it's that time of the year again. We want to recognize our special exemplary pros out there. Anybody that has anything, December 1st was the first email that went out. This year, thanks to Cameron, we're doing it the same way the section does it, kind of through the email process and gathering lists that way instead of forms and sent. It'll all be collected, and then myself and committee will go through it and start the process. I believe we have until, what did we say, Cameron?
End
Oh,
of
wow.
January, last day of January.
That's right, end of January to get those in. So really start thinking about that, start looking around. I know it's been a weird year. I know a lot of stuff hasn't happened, but a lot of good stuff has happened. So look outside the box, look at things that people have stepped up and done over and above, in addition to whatever you can find. I've seen some good things out there in time of COVID here, so it's imperative we kind of look at each other and try to figure out who kind of stepped up or stepped out of the box a little bit and kind of took care of things. But yeah, let's get those in. If you didn't get it, Cameron, is it going to go out again soon or second?
Yeah, we got a couple. We'll have another one this month, and then we'll have at least 3 or 4 in January. So you can just log in and make your nominees there.
Perfect. Okay, so everybody get out there and nominate someone, and let's get a good list together and have a good awards this coming year. Hope to see everybody there. I think that's about it, Cameron. Is there anything else I missed on that?
Nope, that's perfect. Yeah, just want to, like Rick said, reiterate, encourage people to nominate their fellow PGA professionals so we can get a big list to go through. It's always nice to have multiple nominees in each section. So thank you, Rick.
You got it. Thank you.
All right. Next up on the agenda is our election. So little quick little explanation about this. We had originally had 2 positions open. It would be my old position and Greg Walters' position termed out. But we had a bit of we had a handful of people that showed a lot of interest in wanting to serve on the board and get in. So we voted unanimously to bring on 2 additional positions. So we had 4 total positions open today, and we have 4 people on the ballot. So that being said, we do not need to go to a vote. And what I'd like to do is bring in our honorary president, Vic Placeris, to do the swearing in process. Vic?
Hey, Cameron, thanks. Do we have I know we should have at least two of the 4 gentlemen on the call. Is that correct?
Yeah, Tim and James can jump on video and audio, so Vic can run you through this, please.
Am I on?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
I can hear you.
How do I turn it on the screen so you can see me if I'm on my phone?
I don't know that you can with the video. Who's this? Is this
It's
James
Boomer.
or Boomer? Hey, Boomer. James
I'm
on
not
too
sure.
or no?
It's
I
not,
thought I FaceTimed him. I thought he said he was going to be on.
Okay,
let's just move forward, Vic. It's fine. They don't need to be on video.
okay, that's fine. And then anyone who's not on, we will swear in at the first meeting next year. So first off, just congratulations to everyone, and certainly from a board perspective, we appreciate everyone's interest. And at this time, we will swear in Mr. Tim Boomer from Mesa Verde Country Club. Just if you would, Tim, repeat after me. As an officer or member of the board of directors of the Metro Chapter Southern California PGA.
As a member, and I kind of blanked. Can we do it slower?
Hey, Vic,
Sure.
this time
Getting close.
we're gonna allow them to say "I do" at the end. Remember, or "I will" at the
Okay,
end.
perfect. Perfect. That'll probably be better. As an officer or member of the board of directors of the SCPGA Metro Chapter, you do affirm that you shall at all times adhere to and uphold the association's constitution, bylaws, rules, and regulations, and that you shall otherwise conduct your activities in a manner that shall be keeping with your position on the board of directors, reflecting credit upon the association and its members.
I do. I do. There we go.
There you go. Congratulations.
Sarge is giving me grief. He's texting me saying this is unprofessional.
All right, guys. Thanks so much, Vic. I appreciate you doing that, Tim. Welcome to the board. And like Vic said, Larry, James, and Angela will get sworn in at our first board meeting coming up this next year. Thanks, Vic. I would like to say real quick, since Vic was on, he's been a huge help for me taking on this new role. So I want to publicly say thanks to him, and appreciate all the help and mentorship for me. Okay, moving right along, we have sponsorship. We have a sponsor for today, and I'd like to introduce Dave Kuhn to jump on and introduce that sponsor for us.
All right, thank you, Cameron. I appreciate the time today. And today we have one of our, longtime partners here. Flagged has been a part of the SCPGA for the last 3 years. And I want to introduce the founder and CEO of Flagged, Mr. Troy Parrish. And Troy, the floor is yours.
Perfect. Thank you, Dave. And hello, everybody. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to join quickly. I've got kind of limited time. I think they said, 7 to 8 minutes, so we'll keep it fairly brief. But what I thought I could kind of share with you guys today is just from a kind of entrepreneurial company in the age of COVID right now, kind of what we're seeing, not only in the Southern California area, but we're certainly having lots of conversations with courses all over the country. So just as a reminder, David kind of mentioned, we've been part of SCPGA for close to 3 years now. It's crazy how time flies. And so we appreciate we have some customers already on board, but we are a Southern California based company. I'm actually sitting in our office space here in Solana Beach. And the product, as a reminder, and you can kind of see the illustration here on the page, but again, just as kind of a refresher, it's a GPS distance measuring solution for the practice facility. And so the devices look like this. And again, what it's going to really give you is the opportunity to provide your members and guests with an amenity when they go out on the practice facility to use during practice sessions. So instead of them having to rely on an A-frame sign that someone has to go out and hopefully change each day, or shared rangefinders, which in today's COVID environment is tough to do, or plaques in the ground, we kind of integrate with the current aesthetics that you have on the course to be able to provide kind of a combined solution. So from our perspective, I mean, what I've seen personally as a golfer, and just with everything that's going on COVID, is our club. I'm a member at Santa Luz Club here in San Diego, and like many of the courses that are represented on the call today, we're getting more play than ever. But not only are we getting more play than ever, we're getting more people practicing. And I'm kind of a good example of that, I guess, because prior to COVID, I traveled a ton. So I would travel almost every week. And so that made it hard. I would still get out and play golf. I would usually do it, on the weekends, or if I had some business golf during the week. But for me, my practice was somewhat limited just because I was on the road all the time. So now, fast forward to April, May timeframe, and I've been practicing more than I've ever practiced. And I think a lot of people are doing that. When I look at our practice facility out at Santa Luz, it's consistent with a packed range. So people are out there practicing, working on their game, certainly a lot more people playing as well. And so that kind of practice facility experience is kind of now more important than it's ever been. And so what we're seeing kind of consistently across the country is we're seeing courses invest into that practice facility environment. So that can be with something like Flagged, which again is an added amenity that's kind of got that wow factor when members and guests walk up and they look at it and they go, oh, this is great. I now have my yardages directly from where I'm hitting to the target locations, and they can kind of dial in exactly their practice sessions. And so that's been a big piece of what we're seeing. But what we're also seeing is they're not just investing in Flag, but they're looking at teaching facilities or performance centers. They're looking at expanding their ranges. They're looking at adding short game areas, all those different types of things, because people are just spending so much more time. So for us as a company, it's been kind of interesting through COVID. We were coming off a fantastic PGA show back in January of this year, which seems forever ago. And then things just went completely on hold in March. The good news for us is we had a lot of orders that we needed to get out. But then what started to happen as courses start to reopen, we started to get busier than we've ever been. And so currently today, we've got over 110 courses now that are using the Flag product. It's interesting because we see our product really having the most success is kind of towards the higher end of the private public resort facilities. And it seems to happen in pockets. And what I mean by pockets, like San Diego as an example, the Grand and Santa Luz came on early. And then from there, we got the Farms and Journey and Madeiras and a variety of different other courses. We're seeing that in Florida, where the products kind of start to take off. We've also seen that in North Carolina. And so one of the reasons I really wanted to get on the phone here today and kind of just, again, share what we see going on, if that's helpful at all, but then also just as kind of a refresher to our product, is we do have some courses that are in the Metro section, and for that, we're very appreciative. But we're looking to continue our partnership with SCPGA and really bring on more customers, knowing that we're a Southern California-based company. And for whatever reason, we just haven't had as much interest in that metro market that we've had, again, pretty consistently across the country. So what I would love to do is if there's opportunities for us to work with you and your facilities, your clubs, on putting together some kind of customized package or something that we can do for you, certainly let us know. We're, again, continuing to expand, and we're seeing great success in different areas, but we'd like to see that in Southern California as well. So with that, I think that's probably the amount of time I had set aside, Cameron and Dave. So I will kick it back over to you guys. And again, appreciate the opportunity to be on the call today.
All right. Thank you very much, Troy. As always, we appreciate your partnership with the section and the Metro chapter today coming on this virtual meeting. If anybody is interested in learning more about Flagged, please do not hesitate to email myself and I can get you in touch with Troy. And on that, I will kick it back to you, Cameron.
Great. Thanks, Dave. And thanks, Troy, for that presentation. It's a pretty cool product. Let's give him our support by reaching out to him with any questions or if you wanted to see something in person. Okay, moving right along, we have, next up, I want to give a congratulations to two of our own Metro chapter professionals who elevated their roles as officers for the section. Eric Lohman from Monarch Beach Golf Links is our new section vice president, and Robin Shelton from Seacliff Country Club is our new president for the next 2 years. So I've asked Robin to jump on and shed a little wisdom towards us today if you can. So thanks, buddy, for coming on, and congratulations. I think you're on mute, bud.
Sorry, there's always some guy that has issues. But thanks for the opportunity to be here. I know you kind of said, hey, you've been in the role for a few weeks. I'm still counting days. I'm on 6 days right now. But Cameron, thanks for stepping into your role and all the transition that's going on in the chapter. And always cool to hear Joe Groman's voice and hear he's going to be back involved on the tournament side of things. So excited, both excited and humbled to serve as section president for the next 2 years. It's definitely a little overwhelming just thinking about, hey, everything that goes with it, the responsibility that comes with it. And hey, what does the future look like? I think that's really kind of the question that we're trying to decide as a section, because I think all of us are going through it at our clubs and just being like, hey, what do we learn from what's happened by way of COVID, right? What do we learn in the sense of, right, we've done a lot of events, and then, hey, we've also done things that are virtual, and how much of this virtual piece is going to kick in. I think that, there seems to be some kind of consensus that it's probably a combination of both, that, hey, we all miss being together, but it's also nice sometimes, hey, not having to drive, 3 hours round trip to go somewhere. So we're really trying to look at, hey, what do we learn from COVID and what should stay, talking about the virtual things. Everything seems like it's going to be some combination of both virtual and in person going forward. And as we go forward, as far as the next year, we're trying to also say, hey, how do we stay relevant with the world that's changing, and how do we make sure that, hey, our education and meetings are relevant? You know, sometimes we drive 3 hours to go to go to a meeting, and maybe the education's not as relevant to us as we want it to be, or just the meeting isn't the best use of our time. So really trying to reevaluate that and say, hey, how do our meetings function better? How does our education function better? How do we be more relevant? I know Hide talked a little bit about kind of the chapter financials. As far as the section financials, we placed a very high priority this year on just, hey, making sure that our balance sheet remains strong, and our balance sheet was in a good position. So when we kind of started this COVID kind of closure and everything kind of around the 1st of April, we're very mindful of the balance sheet, trying to be very aware of kind of where that stood and keeping an eye on that, knowing that, hey, we were going to have less tournaments. All of the junior golf machine that funds so much of our section was going to be limited. And pretty proud to say that from where we are today versus where we were, in April of this year, our balance sheet is pretty much near identical to where it is. And that's, it's a good spot to be in, a good story to tell, especially thankful of our section staff. We had our section staff that took voluntary pay cuts. We had our staff that, chose to kind of furlough themselves just to make sure that, hey, we would be able to be in a good position. Because some of those tough choices we made, our balance sheet's still in a really good spot. So, kudos to our staff. We've got some great leadership under Tom Addis and Nikki and Jeff have all just been extremely just so selfless, both to the organization and to our golf professionals. And then we're spending probably the next month or so, obviously things slowed down a little bit with the holidays, but we're going to spend, our next month or so really trying to look at kind of the strategic plan for our section and say, hey, what do we want to do? What do we want to be? What are our goals? What are our priorities? And what are those goals that last beyond, hey, just the next 2 years? And really trying to kind of make what we're calling a 6-year plan to say, hey, what are our strategic goals? And how do we make sure that everybody knows about them? And how do we make sure that everybody's working towards them? So that's kind of our plan for the next couple of weeks. Since we know we're probably not going to be able to have our annual retreat, we're probably not going to be able to be in person. So how do we, be able to develop our plans for the year? So we're going to send out some surveys to kind of some boards and staff members and just say, hey, what does it look like? What do we want to be, and what should our priorities be for the rest of the year? So Cameron, that's just a quick short update on the section. Hopefully you thought that was helpful and informative, but just thank you for the opportunity to be here. I'm looking forward to the next couple of years ahead, and I'll hang on, through the whole meeting for any questions that come up.
Great. Thank you so much, Robin. We're in good hands for the next couple of years, I think, everyone, as well as with Tony being the outgoing president and honorary president as well. He's done a fabulous job. Thanks to Tony as well. Okay, next up, I'd like to invite Junko Suzuki on to talk about coaching and player development. Next slide, please.
Morning, everyone. Thanks for having me on. I put together a pre-recorded video just to kind of recap the year and also some obviously updates for 2021. Just a quick reminder, PGA Junior League captain registration is currently open and the deadline is January 22nd to register. I highly encourage you to register right away, and so that way we can start planning. I know there's so much uncertainty still, especially with the Metro chapter being one of the harder hit areas because we include LA County, but I encourage you again to register now and be ready for the season so we can get going. But Bryce, if you can play my video, that'd be great. Thank you. So if anyone has any questions, just let me know. I will be on the call, but again, happy to connect with everyone and to help increase value at your facility and you as a golf professional. So feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Junko. Appreciate that. Always good info, great programs. Okay, next up to round out our reports, we have the SCPGA section report, starting off with our Executive Director and CEO, Tom Addis. Tom, can you jump on?
Yeah, thanks, Cam, and thanks, everybody. It's nice to be with you this morning. It's even though it's remote, we're still able to do a little bit of face-to-face and have some conversation. And I know that Jeff and Nikki are with us this morning as well, and I'll have a few things to report following this conversation. It's been a little bit of a different year. It's been very challenging, as we've talked about over and over again, with our section activities and the limited fields that we've had, not only in our member events, but with our junior events as well. And once we got started in June 22nd, as a matter of fact, and until just recently, where we've had to put a little bit of a suspension on ourselves once again, and because of the state of COVID across the country, and in particular in California. So we've had to focus on and be aware of some new protocols that have been put forth. This morning, we're fortunate to have the Director of Golf for LA County with us, George Bedell. There was a new directive, a new mandate order put out by the County of Los Angeles that I'm sure many of you saw. And George has had communications with the county operators and in regards to that new order and the confusion that came from it as to whether it was same households on the golf course and the like. And George continues, along with Craig Kessler of the Southern California Golf Association, to add some clarity to those protocols. And at this time, George, if you're here, I'd love to have you spend a couple minutes with us and give us some clarity on what's happening within the county, not just the county golf courses, but the hopefully clarifying the participation.
Great, thank you, Tom. First off, I'd like to start off by thanking Tony Latendre for his service to the section, and our best wishes to Robin and Cameron in their new roles as presidents of the section and the chapter, respectively. So Tom briefly touched on, I want to make a point of clarification. I am the golf director for the County of Los Angeles Department of Parks and Recreation. And many people in the industry have reached out to me under the assumption that I am the health department's golf protocol officer. I'm not, even though it's a county health department that's putting out the protocols. We are two separate departments. And I am in regular communication with them. And what I do is help you interpret the language, and it's often very confusing and very convoluted. But again, I'm not the officer. Many have reached out to me and said, you know, well, can I do this? Can I do that? I will give you my opinion. If you work for a municipality and there is vagueness, I highly recommend that you reach out to your council. Same thing at private clubs, people have asked me, and I have recommended that they also reach out to their attorney for interpretation on some areas that are kind of vague. So as Tom mentioned, on November 28th, the Department of Public Health issued a temporary targeted safer at home health officer order. You've all seen it on the news. It was when we met certain benchmarks, 4,500 daily cases, and or when ICU beds dropped below 15%. In that order, there was language, and I'm going to read it to you, just a couple of sentences in the section. Sorry about that. So it says here that shared outdoor facilities, including but not limited to golf courses, ... may remain open for individuals or members of single households while following social distancing requirements. That is very vague, very confusing. So the initial directive that we received was that any reservation or group of players, all of the players had to be from the same household. Well, obviously that all but was going to close our golf courses. So we took the directive, we analyzed it, we digested it, we reached out to the Department of Public Health on Friday to discuss and review that. And fortunately, we were able to get a reversal on that. So beginning Saturday, that protocol was lifted, and they reverted us back to the protocols for the opening of golf courses, which was last updated on December 2nd. So I want to go over a few of the highlights and lowlights of that, of the reopening protocols for golf courses. So unfortunately, there's no group or tournament play in Los Angeles County. This is a protocol that we are fighting very hard to try to have reversed. And the reason is not necessarily because we want tournaments. It's because it actually will make our facilities safer. The protocols that we have submitted ends up making tournaments touchless events. So fees are prepaid to the tournament organizers, thereby eliminating all of the context between golfers and starters. All other protocols that regular golfers are subject to are in place. There is no scoreboards after. There's no scorecards. So there's many protocols in place to actually make these facilities safer. We think one thing that's hurting us on that is the optics of group or tournament play, which sounds like we're going to have a massive gathering of people. We're not. We've stressed that. Shotguns for the first go are not going to be permitted. So we will continue advocating and pushing to have get approval for group and tournament play. Carts are single rider. They may be shared by individuals living in the same household, or they can be shared by individuals from two different households, provided the cart has a partition. Lessons, both private and group, are permitted. Group lessons can be ratio cannot be more than 6:1. Student to teacher. Pro shops may remain open at 20% occupancy. Practice facilities, practice pitching greens, practice putting greens, unfortunately, remain closed at this time. And so in a couple minutes, I'll take questions. I just want to go over a couple of last things. One thing, Tom Addis stresses this a lot on our industry calls, is we beg you, we implore to please monitor and be very careful what you are posting on social media. We are finding, courses hoisting, two players, arms around each other, a beer in one hand, hoisting the trophy, no masks. That's not permitted. I have received 3 complaints from members of the community about things that they have found on social media. They've been pictures, so it's very problematic. I stress to our operators that we are going to get shut down through social media. That's likely to happen a lot quicker than a health officer coming out and dinging us for a violation. So please monitor and be very careful with what you are posting on social media. And lastly, we're all exhausted. We're exhausted of this COVID life we're living. We're exhausted of the golf protocols that we're under, but it's going to be hard to swallow. But I just ask you to continue to practice patience. Although the protocols are very slow to be changed, amended, please note that there are people behind the scene, Tom Addis, Craig Kessler, myself, advocating for the entire industry So again, please do not mistaken lack of movement and activity in the protocols with lack of action or that nobody is paying attention. So that wraps it up for me, and I will be happy to answer any questions or try to answer questions in this murky world that we're living in. Any questions?
Yeah, George, thanks. I think one thing that was important, or that is important, that we asked George to participate this morning is, LA County being the largest county in Southern California, the influence that LA County has on the other agencies when it comes to developing the protocols. And if George hadn't have acted so quickly with Craig in regards to the immediate family only or household only, we might be faced with that confusion going forward in other counties. So George, thank you for that, and thanks to Craig for that, to acting so quickly as soon as that hit over the weekend. So important that was taken care of, and we're really proud of the effort that everyone is making to play it safe. And you might remember a campaign we had earlier in the year with the Southern California Golf Association, and taking our responsibility to continue to play safe and have excuse me, and have our golfers play safe each and every round. That is so critical, as George has mentioned. I don't know, George, if we have any questions. Nikki or Bryce might be able to see, but if not, would like again to thank you, George, for participating this morning. I know we were emailing and texting. I think it was about 4 o'clock this morning on this, and so it's very, very nice of you to come forward and spend some time with us. So, Nikki or Bryce, any questions that we have?
Yeah, Tom, we just had one come in for George. Are there any city or county municipalities or courses in our section that are not allowing instruction at this time? To reiterate, golf instruction is allowed in LA County per guidelines, correct?
That is correct. I am aware of, I do know that unfortunately El Segundo at this time is not permitting golf instruction. But at this time, per the health department on Friday, this is for all of you, we are to follow the reopening protocols for golf courses dated December 2nd, 2020, which does permit for golf instruction. And one thing, I just took a peek at my notes and forgot to mention one thing. As you know, restaurants are not permitted to be open right now. It's grab and go. So especially for those of you at public golf courses, this is going to encourage tailgating. I think all of you know that, and all of you have seen it out in the parking lots. We have received complaints. I received one over the weekend. Our parking lots are highly visible to the non-golfing public. You get groups of 2, 3, 4 groups of players, haven't seen each other. They can't have their drink at the bar. So the next best place is the parking lot. So please, we ask you to please monitor your parking lots. Tailgating is prohibited by the health order. So please monitor that and break that up. So thanks, Nikki.
That visibility and being conscious of that, even under the current protocols, because you may be from the same household, whether it's required or not, and you might be arm in arm on the putting green or standing close to each other within the 6 feet on the putting green, but the person outside who may be driving by or walking by is not going to know that we're from the same household, and that's why even then it's important and to keep our separation in that visible time. So again, we appreciate that, and we'll keep working on that. George, thank you so much for spending the time this morning. And I only have a couple of things before I'll turn it over to Jeff or Nikki to see what they might have. It's been a tough year. One of the reasons it's been difficult for, let's just use an example of our junior tours, LA County being closed down for tournaments, that really skewed our schedule for the entire year, and our staff has been working very diligently to reschedule events, but we weren't able to reschedule all of them, and that's taken a toll on the junior players, because not every junior player had the opportunity, although we did make some provisions to get in every event. So that's been a challenge, and one that we continue to work through. Speaking of George and Craig Kessler, we are going to continue our California PGA chats, California Nevada PGA chats, on at least once a month on Friday. We have a chat coming up this week. We're with a medical doctor again to talk about the vaccine. Craig will take a break through Christmas, then come the holidays, and then come back in probably the first week of January. So I know we had a couple of our members and listeners, if you will, say they'd like to see us continue with those chats, and we will do that as being a pretty important part of keeping everyone informed. So those of you who have that interest and attend, thank you very much for that, and we'll continue. Follow up with what Dave Kuhn and our partners, and I'd like to publicly thank our partners as well. This has been a difficult year, and for our partners to stick with us, I can't express enough appreciation for that. Thank you. If any of our partners are here and listening, thank you so very much for your support throughout this year. And we look forward to a little easier, Troy, thanks. We look forward to a good 2021. So with that, and before I turn it over to Nikki and Jeff, I'd just like to thank also Tony Latendre. I know Tony's on this webinar for his hard work as an officer and the past 2 years as president of our section, and the dedication and the focus that Tony had for our PGA professionals and growing the game was second to none. And Tony, thank you for that, and continuing to show that all the way through your presidency. And Robin, look forward to working with you. You've held high interest in what's best for the PGA professional and our officers, Robin and Tony. I can't say enough about how hard they work and the support that our officers provide our staff and you as section members. So again, thank you very much. And with that, I'll turn it over to Nikki for a couple minutes. Nikki.
Thank you, Tom, and good morning to everybody. Cameron and the board, thank you for having us on today. Tom pretty much covered, everything, and there's just a couple things that I'd like to add. Communication has been a huge focus and priority for us, especially during these last 8 or 9 months, certainly. And it's been a priority of your section staff to keep you, our members, informed of everything going on, whether that be updates from people like George Fidel or Craig Kessler, sharing best practices, sharing different things coming out for the different counties. So that will continue to be a high priority for us. Tom mentioned the California chats will continue. We did move to weekly for our Catalyst Education Series. We'll continue with that. A huge thank you to John Kulo and Tom Sun for their relaunch of the Launchpad, helping our Level 1 associates. That was highly successful this fall, and we'll continue that after the new year as well. One other thing, obviously a silver lining of all of this is the high interest that we're seeing with the game. And I think, we need to focus on, and especially those of you that are teachers and coaches, really need to focus on how do we keep all of these people that have either come back to the game or have tried the game for the first time, how do we keep them engaged when at some point we get back to some normalcy? So I want you to know that your player development department here at the section staff and your player development is really focused on helping our members, promoting you. If you haven't gone through the ADM certification, highly recommend doing that. You can go to pga.coach to do that. Once you complete that certification, that then allows you to create a coach profile on pga.com, which is the consumer-facing website. We've seen a lot of success. We've worked with a dozen or more coaches to help create their profiles for them, whether that be coming out and taking professional photos or videos of you. And it's really helped. They're seeing increased business and interest from new students. So just wanted to let everyone know that your section staff is here to support you. And that's a wonderful opportunity to take advantage of, especially with the boom we're seeing, the high interest of the game. So that's it for me, and I'll turn it over to Jeff for some final comments. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Nick, and thanks to all of you for being present today. Congratulations, Cameron, on your presidency, and thank you, Vic, for your many years of service, and enjoyed having you in the boardroom so often. I work closely with Hide and Rick, and I remain grateful for their participation and guidance. It occurs to me as this meeting is going on that the Metro chapter, superstars that they are, Robin, Eric, Tony, and Todd, our last four officers, were all from the Metro chapter, and that speaks volumes about the quality of people and the care that they convey. So congratulations to all of you. In 2021, our special awards program is going to be going to a new system, an electronic system called Open Water. And I know, Rick, if you're going to be serving on that committee, and I hope you are in 2021, we'll have a good time trying to make this special awards process more seamless and more engaging. And I would thank Rick for serving on that committee this year. A tremendous success to our award winners who were well vetted and just very successful in their victories as some of our special award winners. And Bill Hulbert as well from the Metro chapter, who served on that committee. Thank you, Rick, and thank you, Bill. As many of you know, the MSR period has been extended until June 15th of 2022, an additional year. And we have currently 60% of our members in the section who have completed their MSR requirement, which is very encouraging. And additionally, PGM for our associates, those levels have been extended an additional year as well for all three levels, 1, 2, and 3. And were there to be any questions regarding finance or membership matters, I think it's important for all of you to know that we're here for one reason and one reason only, and that's to assist and help and do everything we can on your behalf. So please, if there's anything you need only pick up the phone. And Cameron, I believe Ken Farrell may be with us this morning. And if so, Ken might have a few words to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you, Metro chapter members and officers and board of directors. Just for a quick opportunity to mention a couple of things. First off, congratulations on a very difficult year. We've talked about that enough, but I'm just wondering how many of you wrote down goals for 2020, and it would be interesting to go back and take a look at those and see if you've accomplished those. Certainly they possibly went sideways with COVID, but it's worth doing. And then the next thing is considering what are you going to write down for 2021. The reason I bring that up is because at the end of the year, it's performance review time, and certainly a time to take your accomplishments reports to your employer during your performance reviews. Keep in mind that there's samples on pga.org of performance reviews, both if you're giving them as well as if you're receiving them. So take a look at that. Call me if I can be of assistance in preparing you for your reviews. I'm happy to do that as well. You did ask this year that to see all jobs, and so we moved away from PGA career links onto the job board. Every job now is posted on the job board and you have access to it. If you complete your profile, if you haven't done that yet, just go to pga.org, look up top, click on jobs, then job preferences, answer those 5 or 6 questions. And what happens is anything that meets your profile, it will be sent to your account manager and you'll get an email from that. Let's see, the PGA show in January will be virtual. It'll be virtual programming, and those dates are January 26th through 29th. PGA.coach was mentioned. I heard on a call the other day that there were 62,000 hits on PGA.coach looking for golf professionals. So certainly if you give golf lessons, it's a great way to connect with people. Don't forget lifelong learning, specialized certification in executive management, golf ops, teaching and coaching. We do have a new compensation survey that's going to go out this January. It's going to be updated, and it's going to be much better than it was, probably more accurate. And with that, this year our reporting we've changed some things, and our reporting was much better. We actually tracked how much money we increased jobs when we talked to employers compared to what they originally had them posted. It was to the tune nationally of $1.6 million. So know that your career consultants, whether it's in your section or across the country, are working for you to help elevate those positions. With that, final note, PGA Perk Spot for any potential Christmas shopping. It's on pga.org. And with that, Cameron, I'll send it back to you.
Hey, Cam, I have just a couple more things, sorry. Appreciate that. And Ken, thank you. And I would just like to express some thanks to, we have a newly elected secretary in the Southern Cal PGA with Allison Kurt. And congratulations to Allison. We look forward to working with Allison. And of course, Todd Kiefer's name was mentioned, and Todd for his long time activity and support with our section, and we appreciate that. And one thing I'm very proud of, and Joe mentioned this, and Cameron, bear with me here just for a minute, please, that I was very honored this past week. As you may know, the Horton Smith name was removed from one of our awards and replaced by the PGA Professional Development Award. And the section bestowed upon me, I'll be very selfish, and renamed that award as the Tom Addis PGA Professional Development Award. And I can't express how strongly I feel about that. Education has been my base for so many years, as long as I've been engaged and involved in the PGA, and having served as president even, which I'm very proud of. And that was one of my proudest moments. And to have our new vice president, Eric Lohman, the first recipient of that award, I can't tell you, Eric, I see that you're on. I can't tell you how proud I am that I'll share that plaque with you and that trophy with you. So congratulations to you. And I just want to say to the section and the section members how proud I am to be a member of the Southern California section and to be honored in that manner. So thank you for that. And finally, with our team at the SCPGA, the entire group, the 19 who work in our building, of course, Ken and Junko, and led by Nikki and Jeff, who fought through this year with the highest of interest to keep things going. I'd like to publicly thank everyone, along with our officers in the past. So Cameron, thanks for allowing us to take this time, and much appreciated. Happy New Year and happy holidays, everybody.
Thanks, Tom and George, Jeff, Nikki, and Ken for their thorough reports. We're running a little bit over, so we do have one question, and I might need Tony's help on this one. I think he addressed this in last week's section meeting, but Mr. Patrick Casey asked, why have the Friday chats been discontinued at a critical time during the pandemic? It would make sense to continue every other Friday schedule that we have been on. I believe Tony talked briefly about that at the end of the meeting and said that we're kind of collecting ourselves and we're going to continue with that in the new year. But Tony, if you're on, can you jump on real quick?
Hi, Cameron. Yes, thank you. And thanks, Pat, for the question. We did address that during the annual meeting. There is a chat scheduled for this Friday, and we will continue those, as as necessary. So that was addressed at the section meeting. You're right, Cameron, but thank you for that. And hopefully that answers the question. Well, the calendar is yet to be determined. Obviously, we roll into the holidays. That'll be up to Tom and Nikki and of course, Robin, and then our friends in Northern Cal. But we are having one this week to update everybody. And then from there, we'll be as a on needed or as needed basis. We'll keep going.
Yeah, this is Tom again. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier in my report. That we will do one this Friday. We have a medical doctor with us again, as well as Craig Kessler, and to cover all of the salient points that are with us now, and then we'll adjourn through the holiday and come back. I think it's January 7th or whatever that first Friday is in January, to resume our chats. I know Patrick asked that question the other day, and that's what we're going to be doing. So this Friday, again, the 18th, and then we'll resume after the holidays. Again, I believe it's on January 6th or 7th, whatever that might be. So thank you.
Great. Thanks, Tony and Tom, for the.
Hey, Cameron, can I add one more thing? Of
course.
I was going to add, I apologize, I was going to add at the end of Tom's report, I was hoping he might say something when he was talking about the staff. But for those that weren't in attendance on Tuesday's virtual annual meeting, just wanted to let you know one of the other awards that was given out that night was the President's Award. And it was a collective decision between all of the officers to give the President's Award this year to the SCPGA staff. Because to a person, they all did such a great job in keeping us going during this pandemic and all the sacrifices that they made personally. So we made sure that they were recognized, and we gave the award this year to the entire team at the SCPGA. So anybody that's on this call, if you have interaction or talk to anybody, that includes Ken and Junko for everything they do in our section as our regional representatives on the for the national staff. But it's worthy of note that if you come across any of those individuals or talk to anybody in the section office, it's huge what they did this year, and just show them your gratitude by saying thanks and congratulating them on that award.
Yeah, no doubt, Tony. Thank you. Thank you for adding that. It's definitely something that was really cool that you did last week. So, okay, so I think we ran over a little bit, but we've answered all the questions that are up here. Thank you, everyone, for sitting tight and going through this whole meeting with me for the first time. And on behalf of the entire Metro chapter board, I want to wish everyone a happy holidays and to be safe out there. So this meeting is adjourned. Thanks so much.
Thank you.